Hello, everyone in the multiverse and beyond. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, with an important video. Today, on another episode of Video Game Design 101, we are going to be discussing the importance of rewarding the gamer. All right. Now, ever since the inception of video games and interactive entertainment, the core principle of the video game has been in how you reward the person playing it. How the person playing it, the gamer, feels a sense of reward from playing your game. Now, a gamer can be rewarded in many ways. A gamer can be rewarded. You see, when games originated in the arcades back in the day, gamers were rewarded by making progress, but most importantly, the most important thing that gamers were rewarded with were a higher score. Game designers came up with the concept of the score, a number displaying how, each game had its own score, its own way of scoring things. But all these different games had a score count. And this was a way of rewarding gamers. Okay, so a lot of early gamers felt rewarded by getting a higher score. They were motivated to improve that number so they could put in their initials and have the high score and have the highest score at the arcade. Okay? So that is one way you reward a gamer. Another way you reward gamers is through storyline. Okay? You can use the storyline to reward the gamer. So while what you do is you set up your game and you make the reward for progress within a level, another section of the story gets revealed. So you create a cutscene, or you find a way to convey the next important piece of the story. And you use that as a system to reward the gamer. So this is a great way to reward gamers. It's a great way to hook people in. If you have a good story, if you have a really amazing story with characters that we care about, interesting characters, interesting events, cliffhangers, stuff to mysteries that the gamer wants to find answers for. They want to see what's coming next. Therefore, they are rewarded when they receive what's coming next. Okay? So that is a big, big way to make rewarding gameplay. It's a great way to reward the gamer. So now, as a game designer, the core way, we all know the best way to reward the gamer is by making gameplay that in and of itself is enjoyable. So that picking up the controller, pressing start, and interacting with that game world is a joy in and of itself. Now, when the Nintendo Entertainment System became popular, we saw a move away from score-based systems where gamers were rewarded based on their score alone, who could get the high score. We saw an evolution to where you were rewarded by making progress. Okay? We came up with this concept of progress, and there was a diversity there between level design, and that's another way you can reward gamers, is through level design. Level design is a great way. Level design variety is a great way to reward gamers. And the cool thing about video games is formulaic video games are successful video games. Okay? I think borrowing ideas and concepts and knowing what works in successful video games. If you are a video game designer, I say you should be open to borrowing great ideas and great concepts and implementing similar concepts into your games and making a collage of great formulaic concepts that work, and really try to make things the sum of their parts to really transcend and evolve video games as a genre, okay, into different genres, new genres, okay. And in order to do that, you really have to focus on rewarding, how you reward the gamer. And like I said, level design is a great way. If you can come up, never, you should make lists. If you are a game designer, lists are your best friend. Make lists. Lists of everything you need. Okay? Brainstorm constantly and make lists. Ask yourself questions about your game and questions about other games that are successful, that are similar to your game. And make lists of elements in those games that you are finding inspiration from that work. Whether it be elements in storytelling, elements in level design, elements in gameplay, elements in character design. Whatever you are drawing inspiration from, make lists. Make a list and check it twice. Check it more than twice. Okay? And come up with creative levels. Think outside the box, or use established level tropes like the ice level or the snow, the snow level, or the lava level, or the jungle level. Don't be scared to take traditional tropes and implement them into your level design variety. Because level design variety, gamers like new things, and they like nostalgic things. So two different ways to reward the gamer is you can reward them by providing them nostalgia. And that is a big way to reward the gamer, is through nostalgia. So you give them something that's familiar, that they love from the past, and you've brought it forward into a new product. Now, that is a great way to reward the gamer, because you can reward gamers aesthetically through graphics that are nostalgic, or through formulas and genres that have been established, and taking elements from those genres to make your game in whatever genre you have come up with for your game. So you have to think of these ways to reward the game, okay? Because rewarding gamers is what video games are all about. So the number one rule you should ask yourself when designing your video game is what I'm about to program going to be fun for the gamer, or is it going to add stress to the gamer? And because there's a lot of people there's a lot of game designers that brainstorm these new concepts and these new gimmicks that they want to put into the game. Like, for example, and only certain people are gonna like those gimmicks. But most people are going to be annoyed by the fact that they have to do this in game. Okay, you think you're creating some cool new gimmick that makes your game more realistic, like in Resident Evil 3, when they made you have to mix different components to make your own ammunition instead of just picking up an ammo box and getting your ammunition. Well, Capcom succeeded with Resident Evil 4 because they realized, because of the mistakes they made in Resident Evil 3, where they made finding ammunition such a chore as opposed to being something that's fun, that they made Resident Evil 4 so that when you shoot the bad guys, they leave ammunition right there. Ammunition became plentiful so that you could enjoy the game as opposed to letting the game stress you out. Okay, so that is a rewarding experience. Okay, because you want to reward the gamer. Now, here's where the challenge lies for all game developers when you're talking about rewarding gameplay, because there are two different camps of gamers. There are gamers that find challenging gameplay to be rewarding, and there are a group of gamers that find games that aren't challenging to be rewarding. They feel more of a sense of reward just by being able to get through the game. They don't want to seriously be challenged in any way by the game. They just want to have fun going through it. And that is one camp. And the other camp is the gamers that love a challenge. They like a hard game. They find it most rewarding when they die a lot and they have to memorize patterns, or they have to use strategy, or they have to try again and try something different. So that is always a good thing to think about when you're talking about rewarding the gamer. Okay, is imagination. Imagination is a great thing to allow the gamer to feel rewarded, because a lot of gamers feel rewarded by using their imagination in a game. All right, but when you're talking about challenge, the balance between making a hard game or an easy game, there is always a seriously think about making a difficulty slider. All right, or just have an easy mode. Think about making an easy mode, because easy modes are a great way to, make your game more accessible to people who just enjoy a game and completing the game. But it's hard. It's a balance, It's not an easy out to just make an easy mode. Easy mode is not an easy out for the problem of the balance between challenge and making progress fun. But you take a game like Knack on PS4, which is a really underrated game. I suggest anybody go out and check out Knack on PS4, because it's really the classic game design principles evolved to next generation 3D gameplay. And it really feels like a Mega Man game come to life in 3D, and it's a lot of fun. There's a challenge there, and part of the challenge, I'm going to make a separate video on challenge, all about challenge, but I'm just going to reference it briefly here, because the enemies in Knack, they have hundreds of different enemy types throughout the progress of the game, and then each of these unique enemies has their own attacks that you have to memorize what their attacks are, how they attack, and how to beat them. And so the game developers that made Knack would consistently set out different combinations of enemies that you had to strategically figure out how to take out and how to do it first. And you would die a lot, but you would come back and use what you learned to make more informed decisions as a gamer. So when you're thinking about rewarding the gamer, think about, is my game going to stress them out, or is it going to make them have fun, feel a sense of fun? So thinking about a checkpoint system, a liberal checkpoint system, is really crucial, because unless you do something like Dark Souls and you really make something dynamic out of having to travel back all the way through a level again from far back and get back to the point where you last died and try to get past that point like Dark Souls, the Souls games do, that's not what's always most fun. So what's most fun is having a liberal checkpoint system so you don't have to go so far back every time you fail. Make failure fun. Find a way to make dying a rewarding experience for your gamer. All right? Try to find a way every time a gamer fails to not feel frustrated, but to rather feel educated. If you can come up with a way to make your gamer feel educated as opposed to frustrated each time they die, that they feel that each time they've tried something new, they figured something new out about what to do. A game that did that perfectly was Halo on Xbox, the original Halo Combat Evolved. They had a liberal checkpoint system, so each time you die, it would set you back just a little ways, but it always set you back far enough so that you could interact with the AI in unique ways. And in that respect, Halo took on a Groundhog's Day, like the movie Groundhog's Day. It took on kind of that feel, because you could keep, each time you died, you could go back to the checkpoint and try something new. But now you know what the AI is going to do. You know how they're going to react, so you can try, you know where they're going to come from, so you can try a different approach. So another concept that is really rewarding for gamers is different approaches to situations. Nothing is more stale to a gamer than having one solution to a puzzle. If you have one solution to a puzzle and then you try to make that solution really hard for the gamer to figure out, that is not fun for the gamer. That's frustration for the gamer. What is fun for the gamer is giving them multiple different ways to achieve their objective, and giving them the choice and the freedom to play around within the sandbox that you have provided them with, to have trial and error to get to that other point. So you make it fun each time they die because they're getting a little further. So make sure to always think about rewarding the gamer. So second guess everything you do. Okay, never get too caught up on trying to make your game too realistic, because it's impossible, and it's not what gamers want. Okay? Gamers, at the end of the day, they want fun. Okay? No matter how challenging it gets, they want fun. And like I said, some challenge can be fun to some people, and just progress can be more rewarding to others. But what's important is, always second guess every design decision you're doing in your game and think, wow, is this going to be fun for the gamer, or is this going to be a chore? You never want your game to feel like work. You never want your game to feel like a chore. You never want people to feel like, oh man, this is like a 9-to-5 job that I gotta get through for this reason or that. No, you want your game to be a joy, to play the second they pick up the controller from the second they put it down. You want them coming back for more because they can escape into your game and feel free. And that in and of itself is rewarding, right? And that can be rewarding. So this is just a few of the ways that you can make a rewarding game. And you should make a rewarding game. You should think about rewarding the gamer. How do you reward the gamer? And loot is another great reward. Okay, I think no matter what genre you're trying to make your game, every genre should borrow from the RPG genre, all right, and incorporate RPG elements into your game. And one of those elements is looting. Okay, you got a bad guy. Okay, make the bad guy fun to kill. That's rewarding. But make your game even more rewarding by giving that enemy loot. All right, look at how rewarding the combat in Zelda Breath of the Wild became because you were able to take the weapon and loot the enemy that you defeated. You were able to get something from your enemy. All right, so think about ways to reward the player twice or 3 times or all the time. Keep rewarding the gamer every chance you get. And it will be the secret recipe to making your game a success. It will be the secret recipe to making your game the game it should be, the game it needs to be. Okay? So just follow these steps and you will have a successful game. Think about how you reward the gamer, and always second guess whatever design choice you are making, and think to yourself, is this fun or is this a chore? And if it feels like a chore, don't put it in the game, or don't make it mandatory. If it feels like a chore, like to some people grinding can be a chore, and to other people grinding can be so rewarding. That's another way you can reward the gamer, is through grinding. But ever since the concept of grinding began in the old JRPGs, it has always been optional. Sure, in a lot of JRPGs you have to grind a bit to be able to progress through certain areas or pass a certain boss. You have to level up a few times by going through some fights and hitting up an inn to replenish your health every now and then. All right, we all have found ways to do that. So reward the player by giving them a break, but making them feel like they figured it out on their own. So, allow the party to heal, the entire party to heal for free at the inn at the local town, and then allow them to go out, the gamer to go out into the game world and fight monsters and level up until their health is way down. Then they go back to the town, heal, and come back out and grind some more. Make grinding fun. How do you make grinding rewarding? All right, think about that. How do you make grinding rewarding? And how you figure that out is look at all the different games that have grinding involved, like the Soul series or any of the games that have grinding involved, and take elements that are fun. Take elements that you find are important and fun about those games and incorporate those elements optionally into your game, so that people who love grinding can grind to their heart's content and stabilize and balance the difficulty to their liking through grinding, while other gamers who don't want to grind can still find a way to make progress through the game using their skill as opposed to just grinding. All right. So don't make the Final Fantasy VIII mistake, and don't allow the monsters to level. Don't let the bad guys level along with the character. Okay, because you want to make grinding as rewarding as possible, which means allowing people to put in enough work in the game to beef up their stats so that they can overpower these enemies and get through these enemies easier. All right, so it's all optional. Giving options is always more rewarding than a lack of options. The more options, and options aren't about putting a thing on screen saying, choose this dialogue, choose that dialogue, or this dialogue. It's not about 4 different dialogue options. Those aren't the options I'm talking about. I'm talking about the options that the gamer doesn't see. They're not aware that they're making these decisions. But you are aware that you're making them make decisions. Okay? It's like the Legend of Zelda, the original Legend of Zelda. You're dropped into this game world, and there's a cave you can go in, or you can go to the right, or you can go to the left, or you can go up a screen. So that's 4 different choices right there. And you don't know what choice to make. But obviously you want to go in the cave to get the sword, or else you can't progress the other directions. All right? So if you give gamers choices like that they don't even know they're making, where you make branching paths, or you're going to reward the gamer because it allows them to personalize their experience when you give them options, and it also allows them to replay the game and take a different path, which adds to the replay value of your game. And you always want a game that has a lot of replay value, because you want to create a game that people are going to buy more than once on more than one platform. Okay, you want to create a classic game that's going to be a classic of all time. That's what you want to do. So think hard about rewarding the gamer. How do you reward the gamer? So, like I said, there's multiple ways to do it, but at the end of the day, having fun can be the most rewarding thing. So if you make it a fun experience, and not all games have to be fun. The Last of Us was a masterpiece of game design, and it was a game that made you really feel a sense of dread, and you really went through the emotions that the characters were going through in the game while you were playing it, and those emotions were not always pleasant. So it wasn't always a happy, fun game, but the story elements were so rewarding. The character and the development of these characters was so rewarding that gamers were glued to continuing and making progress. And that kind of reward creates motivation. That's why rewarding and thinking about how you reward the gamer is the key in finding how you motivate the gamer to finish your game. Because you want the gamer to finish your game at the end of the day, because then they're going to want to buy the sequel. Then they're going to want to be ready to buy your next game. And you want them ready to buy your next game. Okay? So reward, reward, reward. Don't just give a score, but hey, maybe put in a score for those that care about being rewarded by a high score. Put in a scoring system. Put in a way to score points just for the fun of it, for the reward of it. Think about the fun of it and put as much reward into your game as possible. Make your game as rewarding as possible, and you will be as successful with your game. People will love your game. Your game will be a classic. Okay? So I am your friend forever, Evan Lefavor. This has been another episode of Video Game Design 101. Check back soon for future episodes. Bye-bye.